January 1940. Bletchley, Buckinghamshire. Frost rims the hedgerows as a black sedan rolls down a narrow country lane toward an old Victorian mansion hidden among oaks. Inside its gates, the lights burn through the fog. The heart of Bletchley Park, Britain's most secret wartime installation. The men and women arriving here are not soldiers. They carry no rifles, wear no medals. Instead, they carry fountain pens, graph paper, and the weight of a problem no army can solve. In the mansion's library, the air smells of pipe smoke and ink. Standing before a chalkboard filled with tangled numbers, Alan Turing, a 27-year-old mathematician from Cambridge, studies the latest intercepted German cipher. The message, like hundreds before it, begins with a jumble of letters. PQYHXU CAM ELR. Nonsense to everyone but the men who typed it into the Enigma machine, Germany's most sophisticated encryption device. To the Nazis, Enigma is invincible. It's a metal box with a typewriter keyboard and 3 rotating rotors inside. Each key press sends an electric pulse through those rotors, scrambling the letter into one of 150 million possible combinations. Every midnight, the EU German military changes the rotor settings and plugboard connections, resetting the code completely. Even if you broke yesterday's message, today's would be different. British analysts had been trying to break Enigma since the war began, and failing. The ciphers intercepted by wireless operators at coastal Y stations pile up faster than anyone can read them. But now, Turing has a plan. He explains it to Dilly Knox, an older classicist turned codebreaker, who watches with wary curiosity. "We cannot test every possibility," Turing says softly, "but we can build a machine that does." He sketches a rough design, a cabinet of rotating drums wired together, capable of testing thousands of combinations per second. It's not yet a computer, but something close, an electromechanical brain. Knox frowns. "And you think this machine will think faster than the Germans?" Turing shakes his head. "Not think, eliminate." By spring, the first Bombay machine hums to life in a converted stable at Bletchley. Its rows of spinning drums blur into motion, the sound like distant thunder. Each drum represents a possible Enigma rotor setting. When the machine halts, it spits out 1, maybe 2, potential keys that fit the day's intercepted messages. In June, after weeks of trial and error, one message finally breaks. The paper reads, "Convoy sighted. Coordinates north of Trondheim. U-boats converging." It's a simple report, but for the first time, Allied command knows what Hitler's navy intends before it happens. Turing allows himself a thin smile. Around him, the young women of the Women's Royal Naval Service feed new tapes into the machines. The room buzzes with electricity and urgency. The code has cracked, not fully, not yet, but enough to glimpse what no one was meant to see. Outside, the winter wind rattles the windows. Deep in the Atlantic, British merchant ships sail under a storm of radio waves they no longer fear. The Battle of the Atlantic has just begun to turn. And in Berlin, the Germans remain certain. Enigma is perfect. June 1941. Bletchley Park. Rain beats on the slate roof as dozens of bicycles crowd the entrance. Under gray skies, a new shift of recruits files into the mansion. Mathematicians, chess champions, linguists, and debutantes who can type 100 words a minute. The war has turned this quiet estate into a brain factory. Inside Hut 8, the wreathy smell of oil, paper, and tea fills the air. Alan Turing works hunched over a desk littered with cigarette stubs and scribbled equations. Next to him, Gordon Welchman, another mathematician, traces lines between columns of code groups with a ruler. The German Navy has changed its Enigma procedures, adding a fourth rotor. The Royal Navy's intelligence lifeline, Ultra, ISU, blind again. For months, convoys have vanished in the Atlantic. Merchant ships go down by the dozen, their coordinates known to U-boats long before they arrive. Admiral Karl Dönitz, commander of the Kriegsmarine, believes Enigma is unassailable. He calls it der sichere Schlüssel, the secure key. Turing and his team are determined to prove him wrong. Every hour, radio operators from Britain's Y stations bring in new intercepts. Thousands of Morse-coded Enigma messages, each meaningless, strings of letters. The women of the Women's Royal Naval Service, known as Wrens, transcribe them onto paper strips and feed them into sorting trays. The sound of typewriter keys never stops. In one corner of the hut, Turing's latest invention, the improved bomb machine, codenamed Victory, clatters and whirs. Its 108 rotating drums spinning through possibilities faster than any human mind. Welchman's new feature, the diagonal board, has multiplied its efficiency tenfold. What once took weeks now takes hours. Then, one night in October 1941, a message arrives that changes everything. A German U-boat commander had sent two nearly identical weather reports using the same day's Enigma settings, a fatal procedural error. Turing seizes the papers, circles the overlapping letters, and races to the bomb room. "Start it again," he orders. "Same crib, but align the repeats here and here." The machine hums, clicks, then stops abruptly. A code wheel freezes. A technician leans over and shouts, "We have it!" The new rotor settings flash on a chalkboard. Within minutes, the encrypted weather reports unfold into perfect German. By dawn, the entire day's U-boat traffic is readable. Positions, attack orders, patrol grids, all of it revealed. In London, the Admiralty scrambles destroyers to intercept the wolf packs. For the first time in months, the hunters become the hunted. Convoys begin arriving safely. Churchill himself visits Bletchley soon after. He walks the narrow corridors, pausing to shake Turing's hand. "I told my staff," he says quietly, "that you are the geese that lay the golden eggs and never cackle." But secrecy cuts both ways. The codebreakers must never reveal what they've done. Ships will still be lost if saving them risks exposing Ultra. Sometimes they watch, helpless, as U-boats strike, knowing they could have warned them. But silence is part of victory. Every new cipher cracked births another. Enigma machines aboard the Luftwaffe, the Wehrmacht, and the Navy all use different key systems. To keep up, Bletchley's huts multiply. Hut 3 for translation, Hut 6 for Army traffic, Hut 4 for naval. By 1942, over 6,000 people work in this hidden village of intellect and nerves. And at its heart, Alan Turing's machines hum ceaselessly, churning through secrets Hitler believes no human could ever read. The British are now listening to the Third Reich itself. February 1942. Berlin. Snow falls over the Reich Chancellery as couriers hurry through its marble halls. Deep beneath, in a radio room lined with red velvet drapes, Admiral Karl Dönitz reviews reports from his U-boat captains. Losses in the Atlantic are rising. Dönitz frowns, convinced that Allied convoys have improved tactics, never suspecting that British analysts at Bletchley are reading every order he sends within hours of transmission. Back in Buckinghamshire, dawn glows pale over the chimneys of Bletchley Park. Inside Hut 3, young analysts huddle over decoded German messages still damp from the printer. U-123 refueling mid-Atlantic, coordinates grid AN 1873. One of them reads aloud. The message, sent only 6 hours earlier from Donitz's headquarters, now lies in British hands. Across the estate, Hut 4 transmits the decoded intelligence under a single word. Ultra. Copies are hand-delivered to Churchill, the Admiralty, and RAF Bomber Command. Within 48 hours, British destroyers converge on the refueling point. U-123 never returns to port. To the Germans, it looks like chance. To Bletchley, it's mathematics made lethal. As the war expands, the codebreakers face new challenges. The Bahn Luftwaffe introduces Enigma Z, a variant with new plug-board combinations. The Wehrmacht tightens its cipher discipline. Every change resets the puzzle. But Bletchley adapts, fueled by the tireless logic of Alan Turing, Hugh Alexander, and their growing team of mathematicians. In 1943, the work surpasses human speed. In a separate wing, under armed guard, engineers led by Tommy Flowers construct a revolutionary machine, Colossus, the world's first programmable electronic computer. Built to break the Lorenz cipher used for high-level German communications, it fills an entire room. Banks of glowing vacuum tubes, clicking relays, and spools of magnetic tape. When powered on, it hums like a living creature, processing thousands of logical operations per second. One night that summer, Colossus prints its first successful decryption, a message from Hitler's high command to General Erich von Manstein on the Eastern Front. The orders discuss troop movements near Kursk. That same intelligence reaches Moscow through British channels. Days later, Soviet commanders adjust their positions just in time to meet the German attack. For the first time, Bletchley Park has reached beyond Britain's war, shaping the battlefields of Europe itself. Inside the huts, exhaustion becomes routine. Nights blur into days, tea cools on desks, pencils wear down to stubs. Workers sign the official Secrets Act and carry their silence home each night. Families believe they're clerks or postal workers. Lovers part without explanation. The burden of secrecy is as heavy as the work itself. Yet the results are undeniable. By late 1943, Allied convoys cross the Atlantic under safe escort. Luftwaffe raids grow clumsy and disjointed. Rommel's Afrika Korps, deprived of fuel and foreknowledge, crumbles under Allied assaults. Every decision Hitler makes now echoes, first through a British machine, and still the Reich believes in Enigma's perfection. Hitler tells his staff, "No one can read our messages, not even God." In the quiet of Hut 8, Alan Turing hears those words repeated from an intercepted radio intercept. He removes his glasses, rubs his eyes, and says softly, "Then God must be working in Buckinghamshire." May 1944. Bletchley Park. The estate hums like a living organism. Typewriters, engines, footsteps, and the endless clatter of machines. The invasion of Europe is only weeks away, and every hut at Bletchley runs around the clock. Each morning, couriers arrive with stacks of radio intercepts from across the continent. German Army, Luftwaffe, and Abwehr transmissions all encrypted through Enigma. Each night, those same signals leave this mansion as truth. Inside Hut 6, a young operator named Joan Clark, Turing's closest collaborator, scans a sheet of decrypted traffic. Her pencil pauses on a line referencing fortifications strengthened north of Calais. She marks it, passes it to the duty officer, and within hours, it reaches London. The next morning, Churchill reads the report over breakfast. They still think Calais. He murmurs, "The deception has worked." The false signals of Operation Fortitude, amplified by the double-cross agents, have convinced Hitler that the Allied invasion will strike the Pas de Calais, not Normandy. And Hitler's belief is reinforced daily by the very enigma intercepts Bletchley has already broken. In a brick hut near the mansion, Colossus Mark II hums with new energy, its vacuum tubes glowing orange in the dark. Engineers feed in Lorenz. Traffic, the encrypted correspondence between Berlin and the Wehrmacht's high command in France. One decrypted message orders that panzer divisions remain north until the main Allied landing is confirmed. Another notes that Normandy sector is to receive minimal reinforcements. Turing stands silently as the message prints, his face pale with fatigue but lit by grim satisfaction. "That's it," he says. "We've kept them guessing." When D-Day begins on June 6, 1944, Bletchley Park knows within hours that the deception has held. Reports flow in through broken German signals, frantic messages from field officers demanding permission to move reserves, replies from Berlin denying them. At Hitler's headquarters, the Führer insists the Normandy invasion is a diversion. The truth, the greatest amphibious operation in history, unfolds right under his encrypted nose. For weeks afterward, the Allies feed on ultra-intelligence. Bletchley intercepts Luftwaffe fuel shortages, Panzer Division relocations, and Gestapo communications about resistance movements. Each intercept, decrypted and analyzed, shapes the next Allied move. When German commanders attempt counterattacks near Caen, Montgomery already knows their strength and direction. When U-boat packs regroup in the Channel, British destroyers lie waiting. By the time Paris is liberated in August, Bletchley has decrypted over 2 million German messages. Each word is handled in silence, every success hidden beneath layers of secrecy. Even as victory approaches, few outside these gates understand that a mansion filled with mathematicians, linguists, and women in uniform has been fighting a parallel war. One fought with logic, wires, and will. In the autumn of 1945, after Germany's surrender, the gates of Bletchley Park close. The machines are dismantled. The workers disperse to quiet lives under the weight of their oaths. For 30 years, the world knows nothing. Alan Turing returns to academia, unrecognized, his wartime achievements locked away behind classified files. When the story, finally, emerges decades later, historians will calculate that ultra-intelligence shortened the war by at least 2 years, saving millions of lives. But inside Bletchley, there are no medals, no parades, only memory, the hum of rotors, the scent of ozone, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing that they listened while Hitler never heard. As one veteran later said, standing before the crumbling huts, "We fought the war in silence, and in silence, we won."